Dokkan history is full of monumental releases, but there's one that stands above the rest. Was it the long-awaited Beast Gohan, the first LR ever released, or maybe the most owned LR to date? Well, in this video, we're going to break down the releases that made the community shake with excitement, and I'm going to be picking the one that I think holds the title of the most hyped ever. I'll try my best to avoid falling into the trap of recency bias, but hey, I won't completely ignore it either. And if I miss any units that were special to you, drop a comment down below, and maybe I'll feature them in a part 2. But before we dive in though, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and liking the video. As a small creator, your support helps me so much more than you think. Now, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Dokkan was a completely different game back in the day. Fewer units and minimal celebrations. Remember the first Dual Dokkan Fest? It was about a year after the game's vanilla release, and the game had almost nothing. But then, out of nowhere, we got the announcement of Gogeta and Janemba, which completely shook the community. Before their release, the hype was off the charts. Fans were starving for any new content, and when they found out it was two of the most iconic DBZ characters, the hype went into overdrive. Everyone wanted Gogeta, and for good reason. His amazing leader skill and versatility made him an instant game changer. You weren't anybody in Dokkan unless you had him. People were re-rolling accounts just to get a second chance. It was pure Gogeta madness. But let's not get carried away. Sure, Gogeta was a major contender for the most hyped release, but he's not the only one. When AGL Super Vegito dropped, it felt like a major milestone in Dokkan history. This card wasn't just strong, it changed the entire meta. He was the strongest card at the time, and he quickly became a must-have. His counter mechanic was revolutionary. Seriously, it was like watching the game evolve. This guy didn't just push boundaries, he redefined what it meant to be a top tier unit. I'm not gonna lie, I made a whole new account just to pull him. His impact was huge, especially since the dupe system had just been introduced. Teams built around him dominated for months, even all the way into the second anniversary. Vegito's hype was undeniable, and for good reason. Let's take a quick detour into the future saga. The release of Vegito Blue and Rose was another unforgettable moment in Dokkan history. It wasn't just about having powerful teams, it was about who you had leading them. The introduction of an all-type lead for both heroes and villains was a game changer. You didn't just want these units, you needed them to stay competitive. The community went wild for VB, with many players scrambling to get him, knowing that he had the most powerful team in the game. It was insane. By the time the third anniversary came around, things got serious. It was the debut of LRs with a transforming mechanic, and to say these cards were revolutionary would be an understatement. Their healing factors and mechanics were unheard of at the time, and their animations were mind-blowing. Not to mention the release of Gogeta Blue later that year. Everyone wanted him. He reignited interest in the game and was basically the reason some people came back to Dokkan after quitting. That kind of impact doesn't come around too often. My friends and I were grinding stones under our desks in class and summoning for him at lunch. Then came the fourth anniversary, which had its own insane hype. SSJ4, Goku, and Vegeta. The excitement was real. These units had amazing super attack animations and active skills that delivered massive damage. They could nullify super attacks and raise their stats by 100%. You couldn't ask for a better combo at the time. And while we're here, I can't forget about the SSJ4 Gogeta with his to-be-released leader skill. He was an absolutely insane card back in 2017, and when his leader skill actually came out, he led the fusion category that was one of the best in the game, considering it included the third anniversary Gogeta unit. Moving on to the fifth anniversary, Blue Vegito and Blue Gogeta. These were some of the most anticipated characters in Dokkan. The community had been waiting for years for these units, and when they dropped, the hype reached new levels. They weren't just powerful, their animations redefined the game. They were the face of Dokkan for a long time. Their release marked a turning point in how we viewed Dokkan animations and set a new standard for what was possible. These two cards truly pushed Dokkan into the next era with built-in dodge, crit, and additionals. Many people still have a soft spot for these two cards. They definitely deserve to be in the discussion of the most hyped cards in Dokkan history. Moving on to the 6th anniversary, the hype surrounding MUI Goku and Evo Vegito was absolutely mind-boggling. Even though they didn't stay at the top for endgame content for too long, that doesn't take away from the excitement they brought. What truly mattered was that the demand for top tier units was at an all-time high, and the hype for a true MUI Goku was off the charts. Honestly, they could have dropped MUI Goku with 5 Cybermen as side banner units, and people still would have gone all out just for him. That's how insane the excitement was. Evo Vegeta was amazing too, no doubt about it, but let's be real, MUI Goku completely stole the show. His dodge focused build was revolutionary, and the ability to revive after a KO had players on the edge of their seats. The gameplay around him felt next level, and thanks to his 9th anniversary EZA, both he and Evo Vegeta are still in the top 10 conversation for best units, maintaining their place as some of the most exciting releases even years later. From now on, it's almost all about the best of the best, starting with the 7th anniversary. I can't make this video without talking about the LR gods. These two completely outshined the SSJ4s and truly broke the internet. The hype surrounding them was off the charts, and for good reason. The LR gods didn't just bring amazing damage, they brought an entirely new new era to the game. Their introduction of the 200% leader skills changed the game forever and has remained the standard ever since. These units had some of the best animations ever in Dokkan, capturing a unique moment from the Broly movie where we got to see the two main characters in their red-haired god form. Even their transformation animations were on a whole different level, just as good as the original super attacks. It's no surprise that the LR gods became the most owned LR in the game, and rightfully so. When they were announced, no one wanted to miss out on them. The hype was real, and the impact was undeniable. Now, moving on to some of the other units, we have the GT duo and the Buu Saga duo. Although initially impressive, the Buu Saga duo ended up being, well, let's just say a pair of frauds. Their potential didn't really match up to the hype, and they didn't live up to the expectations. On the flip side, the GT duo actually turned out to be amazing, with game-changing mechanics and solid performances that made them far more valuable than initially thought. While it wasn't the most exciting anniversary overall, these units were still cool in their own right, especially with the introduction of the standby mechanic. Now, we can't forget about the Zamasu and VB units from the worldwide download celebration. Let me be honest, although VB ended up being a fraud, the hype for him was wild. The anticipation for these units, especially VB, was insane. His animations were top notch, and even I was blinded by how cool they looked. I kept justifying summoning for him by saying, hey, his transformation is amazing, but at the end of the day, the card didn't perform as expected. The Zamasu unit, on the other hand, was incredibly exciting when he first dropped, but the excitement quickly fizzled out when they ruined his potential by not giving him the name change he deserved. It was such a missed opportunity, and it really held back what could have been a legendary release. And last, but certainly not least, we have the 9th anniversary units. This year brought some truly legendary units, including a new Broly with an incredible domain, an amazing Gogeta after such a long wait, the Gammas finally getting their long-deserved duo card, and of course Beast Gohan. There were so many fantastic releases and each one was highly anticipated, but let's be real, one unit clearly stood out and it was Beast Gohan. Even with the worldwide download celebration bringing so many exciting units, none of them could compare to the pure excitement and hype that surrounded the release of Beast Gohan. I'll never forget the moment when I was in a call with everyone in my Discord eagerly waiting to see who the anniversary units would be. And then when Beast Gohan appeared on screen, we all completely lost it. The anticipation had been building up for years, and when we finally saw the card, we knew this was something special. And on top of that, we found out he wasn't just good, he was essentially the best unit in the game at the time. The hype went through the roof. You can call it recency bias all you want, but I honestly believe that Beast Gohan was the most hyped unit in Dokkan history. He introduced a completely new form with the best team and best supporting units we've ever seen. He had the best targeting skill and the best defense in the game. It was everything we had been hoping for in a card we'd waited so long for. It was perfect, and even the truth was singing his praises for this card. So, do you agree with me? Was Beast Gohan truly the most hyped unit of all time, or is there another card that stands out more for you? Let me know in the comments down below, but even with recency bias aside, I truly believe this was the most exciting release we've ever had for a Dokkan unit. Anyways guys, thank you all so much for watching.